Bonsoir tout le monde. Welcome everybody. Bienvenue aux séances extraordinaires du Conseil municipal de la ville de Westmount. Welcome everybody to the special municipal council meeting for the city of Westmount. So we will do tonight at 7 o'clock is the capital works budget for 2023. And we actually have a real PTI budget, a triennial budget this year, 2023, 24, 25. And then at 7:30 will be the regular council meeting. So if you have questions at this part of the meeting, they have to pertain to the capital works discussion. And then we will have our regular council meeting. If you would like to spend your entire evening with us tonight, you can stay for the second meeting at 7:30. But you are not obliged. You will be able to leave in a non-awkward way after the capital works part. We won't hold it against you. So I would like to call this meeting to order. And we will begin with the adoption of the agenda with Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the agenda of the special council sitting of December 5th, 2022 be adopted.
Thank you very much. I think Councillor D'Amico would probably like to second that. All in favor? We now move to item number 3, presentation of the 3-year capital expenditures program for the 2023, 2024, and 2025 fiscal years. I would like to begin by saying a few words, and then I will hand it over to Councillor Peart, who is the Commissioner of Engineering and Infrastructure, as well as Urban Planning. But before I do that in a formal way, I would like to thank the administration. This has been it's been no secret that this has been a difficult year with lots of change, but I think what you're going to see today is a real 3-year plan where you're going to see the projects laid out, and every year a capital works budget is an envelope. So it is not, while we wish, the envelope is based on the projects that we hope to achieve. It is an envelope so that, in real time, there may be some adjustments, obviously, throughout the year. So on that note, I have some prepared, but I would like to thank the administration for this, in particular, Monsieur Larue, who is our acting Director General, our interim Director General, and all of the directors who worked with him on this. And there's some departments, obviously, that have heavier loads, both Public Works, Engineering, IT, as well as all of the projects around parks, and there's no shortage of work to be done. And we won't get it all done. So what we're doing today is coming clean on what we can do and the work that we can do. Donc, je vais commencer. Chers citoyens, chères citoyennes, je suis particulièrement fière de vous présenter notre programme triennial d'immobilisation 2023, 2024, 2025, auquel ont participé tous les services concernés de la ville. First, it proposes to create programs to ensure the rehabilitation, durability, upgrading, and sustainability of the city's current capital assets: vehicles, buildings, the water and sewer networks, roadways, computer equipment, etc. These programs will be permanent and part of the future PTI. From a longer-term planning perspective and for the city's internal resources, this 3-year PTI is part of a 5-year municipal capital program, 2023 to 2027. Oh, sorry, I've got some of your notes going here. Sorry.
That's only where I looked.
I know, sorry. I was like, that is not what I practice in front of the mirror. Anyways, after discussing and deciding on the main investment projects we wish to undertake or complete over the next 3 years, we will post, and you'll see it tonight. You'll see it tonight on this screen, actually. We will post an interactive map on the city's website presenting an easily understandable summary of these projects. This process also allowed us to identify the specific needs of each of the departments and to provide them with the tools and resources required to carry out their projects effectively and provide the best possible services to the community. For instance, our operations budget will include significant investments in our technological infrastructure to strengthen our IT structure. This close coordination and cooperation between the city's departments were beneficial, allowing us to set strategic priorities based on sustainable development needs and on infrastructure and equipment management, all within our ability to pay for it. Among the projects selected, the major ones are for this year, the reconstruction of Grosvenor Avenue between Westmount Avenue and the Boulevard, the reconstruction of Mount Pleasant Avenue between Sherbrooke Street and Rosemont Crescent, the rehabilitation of the water main and replacement of water services on Wood Avenue between St. Catherine and de Maisonneuve, Edge Hill Avenue, east side between Lexington and the Boulevard, Victoria Avenue between Côte Saint-Antoine and Westmount Avenue, De Casson Road between Chemin, Barrett, and Wood Avenue, the complete rebuilding of the Roslyn Public Stairs. Those are the stairs above the boulevard. And the creation of a cultural space at Westmount Library, the redevelopment of the playground at Westmount Park, the development of the hockey memorial garden that will be located very close to the WRC, the replacement of some public works vehicles and electric vehicles, the redevelopment of the playground at Prince Albert Park, and the replacement of lighting at the tennis courts, 2 courts per year. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the following projects that we completed in 2022. The reconstruction of Lexington Avenue and a portion of Devon Avenue, including the replacement of public water services between Edge Hill Road and Sunnyside, the road resurfacing and the sidewalk reconstruction of Sydenham Avenue between Westmount and the Boulevard, the rehabilitation of the water main and replacement of water services on Arlington Avenue between Sherbrooke and Côte Saint-Antoine, which includes the rehabilitation of approximately 380 linear meters of the water main conduit and the replacement of 70 water services for residential buildings. Murray Hill Avenue between Westmount Avenue and the Boulevard, which includes the rehabilitation of approximately 320 linear meters of water main conduit and the replacement of 35 water services for residential buildings. The rehabilitation of the aqueduct network on the north side of St. Antoine Street between Atwater Avenue and Rosa de Lima. Roof renovations on the lawn bowling clubhouse, the demolition of the public works yard marquees, major repairs to the mechanical room of the library, the replacement of the playground equipment at the Bruce Tot Lot, and the reconstruction of Devon Park, which has begun, but will only be completed in the spring of 2023, and the completion of the renovation and the long-awaited reopening of the greenhouse. I conclude by reminding you that our decisions have been guided by rigorous management principles and a constant desire to improve our service to residents. Now that the planning phase is complete, we look forward to implementing all of these programs and projects to continue making Westmount a great city to live in and to serve the community's needs. And what you have heard, and you'll hear more details about this from Councillor Pert, is a lot of our capital works projects are driven by what's underground, by what we don't see. So the water network is obviously critical, is a critical part of our infrastructure that needs to be updated. So many of those projects are driven by the water underneath. So sometimes people will say, but my street is in horrific condition, and there's no shortage of those. There are streets like that all over Westmount, but the ones that become priority are the ones that are in serious need of water repairs when we do the complete rebuild. So people often asked why Lexington was chosen. Lexington had significant water breaks on its main over the years, and that's why that street had to be prioritized. So I will hand it over to Councillor Peart, who is going to share some further details. And unfortunately, the map is going to be live on our website tonight, but it is not going to be able to be on our screen. We're still dealing with some technical difficulties from the past 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, the 2023, 24, 25 Capital Works Program, the PTI, contains many innovations in its form and content. First, it proposes to create programs to ensure the rehabilitation, durability, upgrading, and sustainability of the city's current capital assets, vehicles, buildings, water and the sewer networks, roadways, computer equipment, etc. These programs will be permanent and part of future PTI. From a longer-term perspective and for the city's internal resources, this 3-year PTI is part of a 5-year municipal capital program from 2023 through 2027. This is one innovation from previous PTIs. in the sense that the program's content will now allow Westmount to have a longer-term strategy to ensure that it catches up with the maintenance of its infrastructure in the addition of new capital assets. The 2023, 24, 25 PTI also recommends to carry out a number of one-time projects that will meet the needs of citizens while ensuring the sustainability of the city's current capital assets. Future capital works programs will also include other such projects. The 2023, 24, 25 PTI will have to be carried out in accordance with the new financial policies that will soon be submitted to City Council for adoption. The values and principles that have guided us during this exercise are accountability, transparency, collaboration, and coherence. We have posted an interactive map on the city's website that presents and summarizes the program's various projects. This is another new feature we are pleased to have been able to put in place in order to better inform the community. I want to thank all the city's employees who have worked hard over the past few months to bring forward these improvements to the management of the city's capital assets. Once the 2023, 24, 25 PTI is adopted, we will tackle the challenge of implementing it. To conclude, I would like to remind you the main objectives of the PTI. To provide ourselves with an investment planning tool that is consistent with our priorities and with the human and financial resources at our disposal. To evaluate the financial impact of projects on future annual budgets. To draw up a timetable for implementation and to determine financing requirements. Therefore, it is with great pride I present to you the 2023, 24, 25 Capital Work Program.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Peart, for that. And then we will move towards the actual adoption of it. But what you will also see in this capital works budget, and which will also then be, you'll see in 2 weeks, Councillor D'Amico will present the overall and entire budget, which will also take into account the capital works budget, but he will present the operating budget on the 19th of December. But in terms of spending throughout the city on infrastructure, what you will see is an increase on buildings, on municipal buildings in the city. And I can't stress enough that none of these are, nice to do projects. They are urgent. We are at the point where, City Hall had urgent repairs that needed to be done to it. There was, water coming through the roof. The windows were literally rotting in and caving in. And the masonry work needed to be done. But it's also, we need to invest in the places where we have the people who then deliver the services, right? If we want to have an incredible team at Public Works to deliver services that we've grown to over the decades love in this city and cherish the work that they do, we need to have a workplace that is suitable in 2020 for those people to work there. So there is an increased portion from what we may have seen over the years on buildings in Westmount. And that is because this is the work in 2023 across the board is absolutely a must. None of the projects are nice to do's, they're have to do's. So we're well aware of the state of the infrastructure in the city, in particular roads and sidewalks. I think some of you here tonight are concerned about a certain road, which may not be on 23, but it is planned for. When you see the interactive map, you're going to be able to click on each of the projects and that over the next 3 years when those are expected to take place. So for instance, Upper Lansdowne, if I were to pick a street at random, Upper Lansdowne will have a marker on the map, and you will see a brief description of what the project would be and when it would take place. So it's we are fully aware of the state of the infrastructure on many of the streets, and it's the financing that we have in place and how we pay for these is important. And I believe that every year, every generation of taxpayers has an obligation to invest in the maintenance and the infrastructure of the city. That is your role as living in this city. But there will be projects that will need to be financed that are multi-generational projects. Something like the WRC made sense. We had some very generous grants from the city, but if we were to take on our grants from the federal and provincial government and from residents who supported it, but if we were to take on a major project that would be a multi-generational thing, then that should be financed over a longer term as opposed to today's taxpayers, bearing the entire burden of that. So that could be anything like a major road rebuild, like the Boulevard is a major road. If we were to rebuild that end to end, that would be something that you would look at paying for in a different way than we have typically done in our pay-as-you-go fashion. So without further ado, we will move to item number 4, which is Councillor Peart again, the adoption of the 3-year capital expenditures program for 2023, 2024, and 2025 fiscal years, unless anyone else had further comments that they wanted to add to this.
I might add a couple of things. The list of things to be done is long. It went on for pages and pages. And as Mayor Smith was explaining, the process that the administration goes through and the council goes through, it's a whittling down process. And the administration comes to us with the items that are the highest priority. And we make hard choices and we try to plan according to what we think we can manage. A budget is essentially just a statement of your priorities. It's your enactment of those priorities, but it's also a statement of your capacity. It's a capacity to pay, your capacity to do the work, to make sure that we have the resources on hand, and also the operational capacities of how many projects we can have in this small 2x2 square kilometer city going at the same time. So it's a multifaceted, complex equation that the administration is working towards, and of course we have to get that number down to make it workable and manageable. And this is the end result of that. And Mayor Smith alluded to it earlier as well. We're doing things very differently than we've done in the past. Nominally, we've done our 3-year PTI or capital works program, but in reality, what they we were just kind of planning for the upcoming year and not seeing much further than beyond that. And if we were putting a number for the year 2, year 3, it was just, well, what do we do in year 1? And we'll factor it up by the cost of it, the CPI. It wasn't much more strategic than that. But now we're looking over a 5-year time horizon, and we say, okay, we can't do it here. We're going to do it next year. And if we can't do it that year, we're going to make sure that we put it in year 3. And if we can't do it in year 3, we're going to at least push it off the board, knowing that that item is still there. It needs to be taken care of at some point in time. And so it's been a cross-departmental kind of an exercise. Everybody's been around the table. Finance is around the table. The engineering department is around the table. Everybody's there, and it's been an entirely different process this time. A massive change, and at least a helpful change for us around council, was this implementation of the GIS. When I say GIS, it literally means graphical information system. It's a map, and the map has the data. The data is tied to it. You can click on something and you can see, oh, project X is here. It's planned for 2023. It is in the engineering department. And this information will be updated as we go along. We're always putting in more information. So next year, when that project is underway, you'll be able to click on the same map and see that it will give the schedule for that project. It will give you the project manager for that project. It will give you the expected budget for that project once the contract has been awarded. So it's been on your end, you're probably not going to see all the change that's happened, but at least the GIS will give you a little bit of a peek in what's happening behind the scenes. But I can tell you, sitting on this side of the table, the change has been enormous.
Yeah.
And again, the mayor congratulated the administration. I want to underline and just highlight the work that has been done going forward. We have Mr. Larry at the table. Behind you is Mr. Larissel, who was instrumental in this process. We have Madame Cornelis, who was instrumental in this process. It's been all hands on deck have participated in this, and it's been a big deal for us. And so, like I said, it might not appear as much. It's just a one-sheet page. You see it as a summary for you, but the work behind it has been tremendous.
Yeah, well, it also will give people an idea of in each section or in all areas of the city where the work is going to get done. But I would also, I think it's important to talk about the realities of getting people to do the work right now. And when you go out to bid on a project, we saw it at Summit Lookout. I think we went out to tender 3-4 times before we actually got someone to bid on the project. So we're seeing it, that lack, and I'm sure you all see it in your workplaces as well. The lack of being able to find people to do the work has a significant impact on the infrastructure investment that we need to make in the city. So this is based on us being able to award these contracts, which we hope we can. But we see it in our everyday operations with the city. You'll see it this winter with truck drivers for loading our snow removals, where we used to be able to guarantee we had a certain number of drivers to load that snow out. We have no guarantee of that number of trucks anymore. So this lack of people to do the work is having a significant ability on us as a city and how we deliver services. But this has been a very thorough process, and I'm sorry that the map isn't here for you tonight, because it's a very, very helpful tool in understanding the work that's going to get done over the next 3 years. So essentially for the rest of this council's mandate. Okay, so Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madam.
Number 4.
Thank you, Madam Ramirez. I move that the 3-year program of capital expenditures of the city of Westmount for the 2023, 2024, 2025 fiscal years attached herewith be adopted.
Thank you very much. The seconder is Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments on this from Councillor D'Amico? We'll have lots of comments on the 19th, but any comments tonight?
Just regarding the process, I just want to assure everybody that the criteria for prioritization has been very objective. It's based on priorities as set forth by the engineering department, also based on our resources, both available resources and planned resources. So it has been a very objective and thorough process that was done in choosing this expenditure, the 2023, 24, 25 plan. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to give people an idea of the portion of the budget, like, so 41% of the PTI budget for next year will be spent on roads, 12% will be on water and sewers, and 23% on buildings. So that's obviously a much higher number than we've had in the past in terms of buildings, but it is all very, as I said, none of it is nice to do. It's all urgent. Okay, so that motion was seconded by Councillor D'Amico. All in favor? Aye. Carried. So we'll now move to question period. I don't believe we'll take questions from in the room, and then if we have any questions online, we'll take those second. But if you have a question and you want to ask it, now is the time to do it. Pertaining to the capital works budget. So if you have, Mr. Moore, if your question is more of a general nature or something that's not specific to the capital works budget, you'll have to.
A major question. It's not a general, but it's a major question.
So is it pertaining to?
Don't punish me because I have that, but I don't want it to be a private matter.
No, but
I think of another military rank, but I'm.
So is it, if it's pertaining to the capital works budget, the question is now, otherwise there will be another question period in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I will withdraw then.
All right.
I apologize.
Thank you. Mr. Fretz.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My question, obviously regarding Summit Woods, often straddles capital costs and operating. So
yes,
I don't know if you want me to do it now or to wait later on.
Well, you can ask your question. Because
okay.
It's some investment in Summit Woods happens in capital works. So ask your question and we'll determine it.
Okay. So first of all, I want to thank you, the council and Public Works, for the work you did up at Summit Woods this year. The signage was incredible, I think, in terms of sensitizing people to the fragile nature of the woods. The sign sort of said trail closed due to reforestation, et cetera. There are other things about bikes. So I want to thank you for that. And I trust that the level of funding will continue into 2023. But this is my real question tonight is, this loosely formed Friends of Summit Woods, we had 4 outings, well attended, and a consensus is that we would like to have a pilot project of volunteers at the summit, something along the lines of Les Amis de la Montagne, who incidentally are currently helping the project La Falaise de Saint-Jacques. So they're really great in that respect. So I'll just say that an organization, a voluntary organization, is a mutual benefit to the municipality as well as to residents who enjoy Summit Woods and learn by doing. So my question is, I ask that a budgetary provision be made to this effect, to kickstart a voluntary organization.
Thank you very much for your question. And yes, you're right. Summit Woods does sort of straddle our PTI budgets and our operating budgets. And yes, there will be funds allotted towards Summit Woods again. And as you talk about Les Amis de la Montagne, we met with them and they were very instrumental in helping and giving us ideas on the pathways, as well as you had as well, about the narrowing of the pathways and protecting and having more signage and some of the learnings they had. COVID has been very, very hard on the pandemic. Saw a lot more users of Summit Woods and Mount Royal, but we both, and as you're certainly an advocate of, it takes money to protect it, and it takes money to ensure that we protect its biodiversity as well. And so the signs were just a beginning. I think they helped, but I think it is very much an indication of this council's commitment to Summit Woods. So I would be happy to discuss having a formalized, comme les Amis de la Montagne, les Amis du Bois Sommet. And Councillor Gallery actually had raised it with me today, but it will straddle both PTI and operating. So thank you for your question, though.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to meeting you with
yes.
those lines.
Thank you. And thank you for your continued commitment to Summit Woods and protecting it.
Bonsoir, je suis Rinaldo Battista de Upper Lansdowne, Madame la mairesse, Mesdames, Messieurs du Conseil. D'abord, merci beaucoup pour votre présentation et merci aussi pour tout ce que vous faites pour la ville de Westmont. Le but de mon intervention ce soir, c'est que, comme vous l'avez mentionné, la rue Upper Lansdowne est sur les projets de rénovation, pas pour 2023, mais pour 2024, nous pensons.
Oui.
Et vous avez certainement remarqué qu'il y a plusieurs résidents de notre rue qui sont ici ce soir. Donc, vous avez indiqué qu'il y aurait sur le site web, de toute façon, des précisions sur ce qui est envisagé, mais la raison de notre présence ici ce soir, c'est que depuis un certain nombre de mois, il y a beaucoup de rumeurs qui circulent sur ce que sont vos intentions réelles par rapport à la rénovation de la rue Upper Lansdowne. Et donc, la question qu'on se pose, c'est est-ce qu'il va y avoir un mécanisme de consultation des résidents?
Absolument.
Et si oui, qu'est-ce que ça va prendre comme forme? Parce qu'il y a toutes sortes de rumeurs qui circulent sur le rétrécissement de la rue, le changement du sens, la transformation en sens unique. Enfin, et donc, on se demande vraiment si les résidents vont être consultés et comment ça va se faire, justement.
C'est sûr qu'on va avoir une consultation publique, puis j'ai entendu quelques rumeurs aussi, mais je ne sais pas ça vient d'où, ces rumeurs, parce que ça ne vient pas du Conseil et ça ne vient pas de la part de sens unique, de stationnement. J'ai entendu des rumeurs de stationnement aussi. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas... Je pense qu'il n'y a pas de gros changements pour Upper Lansdowne, mais c'est sûr, on va avoir une consultation publique avec assez de temps, comme on a fait sur Mount Pleasant, avec, c'était quoi, 8 mois en avance. Puis ils ont fait quelques petits changements, puis il y avait des résidents avec des suggestions, des commentaires qui étaient tellement importants pour la rue. Et c'est vous autres qui habitez sur la rue. Donc, oui, on va avoir une consultation publique, mais je n'ai pas la date pour vous encore. Monsieur D'Amico, est-ce que vous avez des commentaires sur ça?
Je pense qu'il y a eu possiblement des erreurs dans le passé, donc possiblement le sens unique sur Sunnyside, ça vient à l'esprit, ou possiblement Lexington. Mais il y a un changement d'esprit, donc de consulter plus. Aussi, je pense que possiblement, quand il n'y a pas de consultation, c'est parce qu'il n'y a pas de reconfiguration de la rue ou il n'y a pas de changements matériaux à faire. Donc, on ne peut pas toujours consulter s'il n'y a pas grand-chose qui change. Donc, je ne sais pas si
D'accord.
ça répond à votre
Oui,
question.
merci beaucoup.
Comme pour la rue Sunnyside, juste pour clarifier, il n'y avait pas d'assez d'espace pour un trottoir, du stationnement et deux sens. Donc, on avait un choix. On a parlé avec les gens, puis il y avait un choix. Est-ce que c'est sens unique? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas de stationnement? Mais on a besoin des trottoirs. C'est sûr qu'on a besoin d'un trottoir. Donc,
Je pense que c'est exactement la crainte. Donc, quand on a refait Sunnyside, il y a eu l'ajustement du trottoir qui a causé la rue à être moins large, donc qui a causé le sens unique. Donc, je pense que la crainte, si j'ai bien compris, la crainte est sur. On ne va pas répéter le.
mais il n'y avait pas assez d'espace sur Sunnyside. Ce n'est pas le trottoir, c'est juste la largeur de la rue.
Parce qu'une autre question qui est débattue, en tout cas dans le quartier, c'est la durée des travaux. Étant donné qu'on est sur le parcours de la Villa Sainte-Marceline, évidemment, si les travaux se font pendant la période d'été où il n'y a pas d'enfants à l'école, c'est beaucoup plus simple que si ça s'étale sur une longue période. Donc, il y a la question de la période pendant laquelle la rénovation va être faite. Est-ce que vous avez quelques indications par rapport à ça?
Mais je pense que c'était un peu prématuré pour énoncer sur l'échéancier des projets. Mais tout ça pour dire que quand c'est le temps de préparer une échéancier pour un projet, étant donné que dans le quartier, la Villa Marceline, c'est clair, l'administration prend toujours ça en conséquence en termes de la planification ou la séquence des travaux.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Mais c'est sûr que c'est long. C'est toujours long. C'est plus long que... Et c'est pas facile d'avoir du construction sur votre rue. C'est pas facile. Mais merci pour la question. Next question.
Hello, I'm a first-time caller. My name's John Carr. I live on Upper Lansdowne, and
Welcome.
thank you again for all the work that you've done on the Capital Works project. I just have one question regarding the extent of the work. Has the group decided whether there will be work specifically on the repaving, or will there be, I guess, redoing of the waterworks underneath the road?
Do you have the list of what's expected on there? It's more than a repaving. It's a reconstruction of the street.
Oh, okay.
So that is a longer project than what you would have seen on Sydenham this summer. Was essentially a repaving and a rebuilding of sidewalks.
Right.
And Sydenham started. Sydenham was a 2 and a bit month project, whereas Lexington was, a 5-month project. Yeah. So there is a significant difference between the two.
So I can confirm this would be a full rebuild.
Including the water.
It would include the reconstruction of the road, the sidewalks. And when we say reconstruction, we're talking about the base, the concrete base beneath the asphalt, the sidewalks. It's a reconstruction of the water mains and water services, Hydro Westmount work as well. So it's I'm not gonna lie, it's a big one.
And while you're here, Upper Lansdowne, what we have seen in the past is it's the ideal time. So if you have a lead connection into your house, this is the ideal time to get that fixed and to upgrade that. And we don't see, you'll see as we get closer to the project, the engineering team, Sean Aloysius and his team will meet you on the street. They will discuss it with you, but it really makes sense to, if you do have a lead connection into your home, to deal with it now. Montreal is taking a different approach than we're taking in terms of trying to force people to do it. It's really important that you do it now, because then if you do try and do that work later, well, first of all, the street's ripped up, right? It's easier to access it. If you get together all as residents together, I know this happened on Mount Stephen last summer, where they all got together and they used the same contractor. They managed it. But encourage your neighbors. If you have a lead connection, when your street is being ripped up, it's a great time to deal with it. And eventually, it's maybe not the law now. Eventually, you have to deal with the lead pipes. So
Thank you very
I
much.
encourage you to deal with that if you have a
If I
lead.
could just add to that point, not specifically, but something I could have mentioned earlier is now that we are really doing a longer time horizon, what that also enables you to do as homeowners or property owners is to, if you have a renovation that's planned, you may decide not to do it on that year when your street is being torn up, but you might, that gives you a time horizon of maybe 2 years to know in advance that that's not the year to be redoing your,
Take a holiday.
redoing a pool or something like that. So it's the more information that we're able to provide you, then it helps you do some longer term planning.
I'm a longtime resident of the
You have to say, Mr. Bismuth, your name into the microphone so it's on record.
Claude Bismuth from Upper Lansdowne. I've been a longtime resident, and the school traffic is one that you have to consider. If you're going to do a major project on our streets, it's going to have to be done within 2.5 months. There's no choice, because as you know, Upper Belmont and Upper Lansdowne are one and only one. Plus, we already had a restriction on the size of the streets when it was done last time. And they also did the sewers. So I'm surprised to hear that we have to go through all that again.
I think they lined your sewers.
What is the water mains?
They went,
Is the water main.
yeah,
Why?
I don't know if you've looked into it, but I believe that they did work on the water, number one. And number two, they did definitely narrow the street. Now, you all heard the school's going to undertake a major renovation
Mhm.
in the next little while. Have you seen the traffic? I know Michelle has, and I know some of you have, and I can tell you that it's impossible to get by for about 3 hours a day. And how are they going to manage traffic around the school if Upper Lansdowne is being done over 5 months period? I don't know. So I'm just leaving that on the table.
So all this is certainly the engineering team is very well aware, as are your counselor, myself, and you, the traffic impact of the Marceline, just because of also just the nature of the narrow street up there.
Yeah.
And any school generates a lot of traffic. So we will figure out ways to manage it and manage it safely, obviously, with priority being, the kids coming in and out of school safely and how they get away from school. But it's a larger discussion around the traffic around Marceline and safety issues up there.
But it will be a big challenge to bring all that work done within the 2.5 months that we have when
Yeah.
school is out. So.
Yeah.
Thank
And we've done a lot of work around when we did Westbound Avenue. There was a lot of learning there around how we manage the traffic around Roslyn, right? Because that's and Roslyn has a lot of buses. So that was how they managed it. But that's why the public consultations, talking to obviously Marceline is a major stakeholder in this. So those discussions will happen.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your questions. Are there any questions online, Maître Ferland?
No questions online, Madam.
Okay, so we'll adjourn the capital works budget. Stay tuned for what goes up online and the information there. And if you have any questions on that, please come back on the 19th for the overall operating budget, which will, this is a significant part of the operating budget. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, the regular municipal council meeting of the city of Westmount for Monday, December 5th, 2022. Bienvenue aux séances ordinaires du Conseil municipal de la ville de Westmount pour le 5 décembre 2022. We will begin with opening comments from council. I'll start with Councillor Kez, down at this end of the table.
Thank you. I just want to bring to everyone's attention that with the holiday season approaching, residents can register, thank you, for special passing attention. The PSO will keep an eye on their property while they're out of town. Exterior checks of the house will be performed, so please be sure, and also please be sure to cancel mail or any newspaper deliveries. Also, a reminder that residents will not be called to move their cars during snow removal operations. So please pay special attention to the orange and yellow markings on the signs during snow removal operations. Also, regarding our holiday food drive basket, thank you to everyone for contributing to this year's holiday food drive. PSOs have collected $3,900 and lots of non-perishable food items. So it all went very well, but thank you so much to our most generous residents. Also, just a reminder, contributions can still be dropped off at various municipal buildings until December 12th. And if you want to give a gift card, some ideas could include Toys R Us, grocery, or pharmacy. But if you are giving gift cards, please be sure to drop them off in the City Hall mailbox slot. Public Safety is working with the CLSC Metro, which identifies those families in need in our community that can benefit from these food baskets. Our officers will be delivering these baskets between the 15th and 20th of December. So again, thank you very much for your generosity at this time. It's a difficult time for a lot of people. So definitely thank you for everything and your generosity. That's it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Aronson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A short update for tonight. With only 3 weeks left in December, our schedules are filling up with all kinds of incredibly fun activities. Most of all, let us not forget that on December the 13th at 7 p.m., right here in this room, there'll be a public consultation on the proposed development of the Hillside project that's at 1 to 3 Hillside in District 7. It promises to be an evening full of plans, projections, budgets, and I would imagine some lively discussion about what kind of community and what kind of building we would like to live in. So I encourage all residents to clear your calendars of any other obligations and come out for that public consultation. It's going to be really interesting. On a lesser note, we've got about 3 weeks left till Christmas and Hanukkah. So when you are going shopping, please do remember that we have a number of really great merchants in our community who have wonderful gifts ready for you to purchase and give to your loved ones, and even people perhaps you don't love that much, but you just want to give gifts to. So as we only have 3 weeks of shopping left, please do put aside some time and some money to visit your local merchants and make sure that they also feel the holiday spirit. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Aronson. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's nice to see many of you out tonight. I just have a few short updates quickly on our parks. I'd like to thank very much the Public Works Department for installing the new equipment in the Bruce Tot Lot. It's they got it done before the snow came. So if you have little ones, I encourage you to go check it out. They've done a great job. And just with regard to winter, our outdoor rinks are all set to go. We're waiting for the weather to ice them and officially open them. We weren't able yet to get the boards up in Devon Park because of the construction, but they're looking for an alternative location. But in the meantime, they're working hard on the retaining wall, and they promise to keep a path through the park throughout the winter, no matter what happens. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Over here, Councillor Roux. Update?
Yes. Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Alors, à la galerie de Victoria Hall, il y a l'exposition de Sarah Sedcole et de Desmond Senior qui se poursuit jusqu'au 14 décembre. Le 14 décembre aussi, il y a le club de films documentaires dans l'ombre du Star Wars Kids. Alors, il va y avoir un invité spécial, le réalisateur du film, Mathieu Fournier, sera là. C'est à 19h à la salle Westmount. For people that are in the Christmas spirit, there will be neighborhood caroling on Sunday, December 11th at 2 p.m. at Victoria Hall. So come join your neighbors for an afternoon of caroling. There will be spiced wine, hot chocolate will be served, and sweet treats. So hopefully see many of you there. Il y aura un concert de Noël lyrique avec le chœur du temps fort vendredi le 16 décembre à 7h à Victoria Hall, 7h, 19h, excusez-moi. And finally, on December 20th at 5 p.m. here at City Hall will be the Hanukkah celebrations. So you're invited to join in community celebrations for the Festival of Lights with music and traditional refreshments. Friends from all background, faiths, and religion are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor D'Amico, any updates? Okay, thank you. I just have an update. Je voudrais vous dire quelques mots au sujet de la cyberattaque dans notre ville a été la victime. Tout d'abord, je veux vous dire que nous sommes aussi parfaitement conscients que cet événement peut susciter, à juste titre, des inquiétudes dans la communauté et parmi nos employés. Les médias également veulent en savoir un peu plus sur notre situation par rapport à cette attaque. Tout ceci est parfaitement normal, bien que de plus en plus fréquent dans nos sociétés. Ce n'est pas un événement banal, mais c'est justement parce qu'il s'agit d'un événement particulièrement délicat et sérieux qu'il faut en gérer tous les aspects de façon stratégique et avec beaucoup de prudence, incluant l'aspect de communication. First, I'll just remind you of a few of the facts for those of you who are not aware. I think everybody probably is at this point, though. On Sunday, November 20th, the cyber attack was detected by our IT department. The attack is believed to have come from a criminal group named Lockbit 3.0. This group claims to have gained access to a significant amount of city data, some of which are actually already in the public domain. The attack affected several of the city's servers, and we immediately hired an external cyber security firm to help contain the attack and resolve the situation. The City of Montreal Police Department, the SPVM, was also notified of the situation and an official complaint was filed. The attack and the actions taken to contain it have had an impact on some of the city's communication services. Other departments were also affected by the situation, but for the most part, we were able to maintain all of our city operations. I know there are still many questions and some of you would like to know more. However, I'm sure that you will understand that in order to not to impede our efforts and due to the criminal nature of this incident, we cannot release every last detail about the attack. An update on the incident will be provided at a later time. What I can tell you is that our teams acted swiftly and continue to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We are supported by some of the best cybersecurity specialists in the country. In fact, as I'm speaking to you now, the situation is under control and we are almost fully operational. This recovery was achieved in an exceptional time frame despite the circumstances. You can also be assured that we will do everything possible to protect our residents' data and are committed to following the best practices and complying with all applicable legislation regarding privacy policy. This incident will also be thoroughly investigated to determine why and how it occurred. As I mentioned in my previous statement about this incident, we live in a hyper-connected world that makes our lives easier in many ways. But the increase in these cyber attacks is a downside of this new reality. Despite all the measures that organizations put in place, there is no such thing as a zero risk. There will always be vulnerabilities and unfortunately will always be malicious actors. Our role as an organization, as a city, especially as a public administration, is to do everything in our power to limit our vulnerabilities and protect our information assets. I also invite all Westmount residents and the general public to remain cautious and vigilant in today's digital world. The renowned Pierre de Coubertin said, "Every difficulty we encounter must be an opportunity for new progress." So we will learn from this experience and continue to improve our IT infrastructure to make it more secure and resilient. Merci beaucoup pour votre compréhension, votre patience, et merci pour votre confiance. Thank you very much. If you have any questions on that, you may ask them at the question period, which we will have, we will begin with questions in the room, and then I think we have some questions online. So we'll go to those after. So si vous avez des questions, c'est le moment. Professor Moore.
Tunnel Moore, Green Avenue, lower Westmount, 3 doors from St. Henri. I study leadership, write books on leadership, and interviewed over 1,000 CEOs. I'd like to compliment the mayor and the council for a great example of leadership in the 22 years we've lived in here. I know I've been there the whole time, but excellent job. And I have a CEO class where I have some of the biggest names in Canada, Brian Mulrooney and Paul Martin recently. Thank you for setting a fine example in your service to the city of Westmount. I just want to talk a little bit about noise in the Stainer Park family neighborhood. Often the morning cars stretch from Dorchester to St. Antoine, or from St. Antoine more accurately to Dorchester on Green Avenue, or Atwater 2, as we're now calling Green Avenue in our neighborhood. It's a safety issue. for the children in our neighborhood. And you don't buy a house in a neighborhood generally unless you have children. It's 4-bedroom houses. So almost all of them have, our kids are a bit older now, as is Kathleen's, but we're families. And we have a lot of small kids. The Green Center, many of you know, caters to kids prior to school. My wife teaches grade 5 in the local French school, St. Leon de Westmount. So we see the kids go from there to her later on, a few years later. It's safety, but it's also noise and air pollution as well. A lot of pollution in our family neighborhood. I'd like to bring a second noise issue, and then one that is more, perhaps you could do something about, is snow clearing. It's a very noisy process and often starts just after 3 a.m. in our family neighborhood of Green, Stainer, and Columbia. This is efficient, but not effective. So one of the things we talk about at the business school is efficiency and of effectiveness. Is it efficient when you have the trucks there to go down Stainer and clear it at 3:30 in the morning? But it is not a major street by any stretch of the imagination. It doesn't go anywhere. Well, I shouldn't be rude to our neighbors, but it ends in a very small lane. So it is very much a short street of 15 houses that doesn't lead anywhere. It leads to very good family life and to the tennis courts. Columbia, again, they are bothered by noise from trains and from construction from the CP recently till 2 or 3 in the morning. I got up and went and took some videos myself of it and met some of the neighbors there and saw a bunch of lights on it very, very early in the morning. So it is, when you have the trucks there, just go ahead and clean green. But the problem is we are not Atwater. We are not St. Catharines. We are not Sherbrooke. We're a family neighborhood. We do not have tall apartment buildings. It is a family neighborhood. So I want to bring those issues, one, that you have some control at least, though it'd be great to see Green return to be a one-way street. It'd be great to see a reduction in traffic. I have to thank the city for putting up a speed sign, radar. And I watched hundreds of cars. We don't have a car, I walk. And I see a real change. But cars still go too fast, but it's better than it used to be.
From the flashing telling you how fast you're going.
Yes, ma'am.
That one?
They have some fancy name
The
for it.
speed trailer, yeah.
Yeah, speed trailer. Yeah. And that has been very helpful. So there's things like that. I'd love to have some of the big concrete planters that some of the other residential neighborhoods have, really slow cars down. In fact, on Green in Saint-Henri, they have posts in the ground on the same street in Saint-Henri. But we're not allowed to have those in Westmount, or they're not there anyway. And they probably are allowed, but we don't have them.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I'm getting.
Did you just say bollocks to me? I find that deeply offensive. Oh,
bollards.
Okay, I must say you guys must be stressed because I had 6 military puns and not a smile broke out among.
So I think I'm
stressed council here.
Yes.
We do.
I'm stressed, but
you want to talk about it, ma'am?
No.
Okay.
I think I understand the gist of your conversation. Yes, you have a 2-prong question. One is a bit specifically about snow clearing, and I think you understand. So even with the not the beep beep beep, but the white noise backups, it's still. You can take the beep, beep, beep out of a snow clearing operation. It's still a noisy operation. It may happen 5-6 times a year, but that's still 5-6 nights.
It seems a whole lot more than that.
Well, it depends on the snow.
You actually have data. So my impression is, but you have.
So the challenge in that specific area is that schools, commercial sectors are priority zones, right? So it's safer to clear the Green Center and all around the Green Center when there are no children trying to go into the CPE.
It's 3 in the morning. There are no children. There are awake children, but there are no children on the streets.
No, but there are
children
from 7 till 9. There are children being dropped.
Ma'am, I lived next door for 22 years. We're across the lane. I've got thousands of points of data. The children don't show up at 7 in the morning. I've looked hundreds of times to confirm that fact. That they do not show up at 7 in the morning. They come after 8. I've watched.
Okay. So 7, 8, at 8 o'clock, yes. It is safer to clear around school zones when there's nobody around, obviously. Absolutely. And they're a priority area because of the va-et-vient that comes with a school, that we need to clear those zones as quick as possible. So is it perfect? No, because somebody's always disrupted by snow clearing. Can we certainly ask the administration to look at the times and the scheduling in the residential neighborhood of below Dorchester and see if they can come up with a creative solution? I can't promise you that there is one, but I will certainly ask our public works team and relay this feedback to them, that in this particular residential neighborhood, there's some concerns about the nighttime clearing around that neighborhood, but also around the Green Center.
And also just the amount of sheer traffic. Now, there is some construction on Atwater, but a solution would be brilliant. Allow left turns on Atwater. They're allowed, but it's allowed for buses. It's a long light. Many times I do go to the FAQ occasionally, and I have to stand there waiting for the light, as I did yesterday. So I know how long it is. And I saw it walking to McGill a couple of days ago. So it's a long light. Allow people to go left there and not left on Green, and you would dramatically reduce the traffic on Atwater too, and take it to Atwater where it belongs. It's a simple solution.
That's
Left on
As you go north on Atwater, you can go left on Dorchester, but you couldn't on Green. So don't allow them to go on Green, which would cause a huge problem for the lane, but at least it's another problem. Allow them not to go left on Green, but on Atwater, and the traffic would move over there to a very considerable degree. Don't let them go. No, they go up.
Currently,
Green,
they
go left on St. Catharines.
Currently, they avoid Atwater because they can't go left onto Dorchester.
Sorry.
And so they go up Green. But if you allowed a left on Dorchester,
and it was, thank you, the professionals advised that no left turn onto Dorchester from that water.
Safety concern. That too wide.
But buses, which are much bigger than cars, I think we can agree,
okay,
go left there.
So wait.
I'm sorry.
Monsieur Professor Moore, thank you for your question.
Sorry, she asked me questions, so I barely. Oh, I'm not quite done yet. So
I will follow up. You have asked your two questions. I will follow up on the turning and the public works issues.
I apologize. The mayor talked to me. I apologize for doing that.
It's okay. I should be stricter with my gavel. Prochaine question.
Yeah, I had a good answer, and I apologize.
Prochaine question. OK. Prochaine question.
Bonsoir, Madame la mairesse. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs les conseillers municipaux de la ville de Westmount. Je m'appelle Thomas Rollin, je vis sur Claremont et je viens ici ce soir pour vous poser mes deux questions sur le vol de données dont a été victime la ville de Westmount et par la même occasion les résidents de Westmount. Donc, j'apprécie de voir que, Madame la mairesse, vous avez ouvert cette, on va dire, réunion par un petit mot sur les données, le vol de données.
Oui.
Les grands esprits se rencontrent, mais je venais justement à ce propos ce soir. Ce qui m'inquiète un peu, c'est que le vol de données s'est effectué depuis 2 semaines maintenant. Il y a eu quelques...
oui, le 20 novembre.
20 ou 21 novembre, ouais. Je pense que c'est sorti dans les médias le 21 ou le 22 novembre.
Oui, le lundi, c'est sorti dans la presse le lundi.
Ce qui m'inquiète un petit peu en ce moment, je vous dirais, c'est que certes, on a des communiqués de votre part et sur le site de la ville de Westmount, mais par contre, il n'y a aucune donnée probante qui est offerte aux résidents de Westmount. Par exemple, sait-on exactement quelles données ont été volées? Appartiennent-elles à des résidents de Westmount ou à des employés de la ville de Westmount? C'est ma première question.
C'est la première question et malheureusement, je n'ai pas tous les détails de ça. Monsieur Larue, est-ce qu'on peut donner plus de détails sur question?
Oui, Madame la mairesse, c'est sous enquête. Il y a eu quand même des positions auprès du SPVM. Et dans les circonstances, on a pu divulguer l'information.
Oui.
Mais soyez rassurés que tout est fait actuellement par la police de Montréal, par la ville, pour sécuriser, pour protéger nos infrastructures et les données. Et il y aura une enquête il y a une enquête en cours et l'enquête va se développer pour avoir toutes les informations et à temps et lieu, on va informer la population lorsque le bilan sera réalisé. Mais pour l'instant, on ne peut pas présumer de rien jusqu'à maintenant.
OK, entendu. La raison pour laquelle je vous dis ça, c'est parce que, et imaginons, puisque vous ne désirez pas divulguer des informations, que des informations personnelles de résidents ou d'employés ont été divulguées sur le web, ça met déjà en péril, en fait, ces personnes. Ça met en péril leur code de crédit, leur dossier de crédit, et ceux qui ont déjà été victimes de vol de données par le passé, comme moi-même et comme tous les Québécois qui avaient un compte chez Desjardins, par exemple, sont encore plus à risque. Pour vous donner un exemple très concret, depuis la fuite de données Desjardins en 2019, ça m'a pris 2 ans. 2 ans d'heures inimaginables pour faire stopper les demandes de crédit en mon nom. J'y suis arrivé, maintenant c'est réglé. Mais le problème, c'est qu'à chaque fois qu'il y a des vols de données comme ça, les données sont mises à jour et donc les demandes de crédit peuvent être réactivées. Et le problème, c'est que au plus vous retardez l'avertissement, je vais dire, des citoyens ou des employés de la ville de Westmount, au plus ils sont à risque d'avoir des vols d'identité. Et donc, imaginons que vous mettez 6 mois à leur dire qu'ils ont été victimes d'un vol d'identité. Ils prennent 6 mois de retard dans les actions qu'ils peuvent prendre pour essayer de stopper ça. Et donc, au plus vous attendez, au plus vous mettez les résidents de Westmount et vos employés à risque. C'est mon constat. J'ai été une victime de vol d'identité, je sais de quoi je parle. Alors, les conseils de la police sont ce qu'ils sont, les conseils des avocats aussi, mais je voulais juste vous sensibiliser à ça. C'est dangereux pour vos résidents de Westmount. C'est très dangereux. Au plus on attend, au plus ils ont des risques. Au plus tôt ils savent s'ils doivent s'inscrire à TransUnion et Equifax, au mieux c'est pour eux. Voilà, ça c'était pour
merci pour ces commentaires, pour cet avis. C'est bien noté, c'est sûr.
Voilà. Et ma deuxième question maintenant, c'est aussi pour la ville de Westmount. On a appris en lisant dans les médias que l'Union des municipalités du Québec, je pense, avait proposé son aide à la ville de Westmount. Oui. Et il était aussi marqué dans l'article que l'Union des municipalités offrait notamment des programmes aux différentes municipalités du Québec, dont un programme qui était déjà en place depuis plusieurs années, qui visait justement à sensibiliser et à aider les municipalités à prévenir ce genre de délit de vol de données. Et donc, ma question est, comment se fait-il que nous n'étions pas en contact avec l'Union des municipalités? Et dans le futur, sommes-nous maintenant en contact avec l'Union des municipalités sur ce sujet, mais aussi sur d'autres sujets, puisqu'il me semble qu'ils font quand même un travail fantastique et qu'on devrait s'y intéresser.
Oui, on a rencontré le UMQ plusieurs fois, mais sur ce dossier, on a déjà rencontré eux autres, puis on est impliqué avec l'UMQ sur ça, mais au dossier aussi de l'assurance et des autres programmes, c'est sûr. Oui, il y a beaucoup de bénéfices pour nous avec l'UMQ.
OK. J'ai utilisé mes 2 questions. Je pourrais encore vous en poser pas mal.
Est-ce que M. Demico, vous voulez répondre à ça aussi?
Oui, effectivement, je voulais souligner que même dans le domaine fiscal et d'imposition, il y a des très bons articles, de très bons commentaires sur le site de l'UMQ. Effectivement, c'est vraiment bien fait. Vous avez 100% raison.
OK.
Oui.
Merci. Je viens de finir mes 2 questions. Je pourrais encore vous en poser plein, mais
merci beaucoup,
il y a d'autres personnes.
M. Larue et moi, on rencontré l'UMQ ce matin.
OK.
Sur ce dossier encore.
Merci. N'hésitez pas à tenir les résidents au courant, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Merci.
Bonne soirée.
Prochaine question. Next question.
Bonsoir. Mon nom est Neil Whitehouse. Je suis le pasteur pour l'Église unie Westmount Park. 7 years in Westmount as minister, and this is my first time before you, and I'm very pleased to be here and to appreciate the work that's going on. I'm impressed. I'm here because of COP Counts, the United Nations Conference on Biodiversity, a historic marker, we hope globally, but I sincerely hope for Montreal and for Westmount. My question is, therefore, what more Westmount can do to encourage biodiversity. My church has an active Faith in Nature program. We reconnect with nature with what we call Wild Church at Summit Woods, but we also walk in the park. 3 winters ago, we hosted a Canadian Wildlife Federation workshop, and I learned about the tracks animals leave in the snow. I saw for myself tracks that were read as juvenile porcupine tracks, with evidence in the gnawed tree bark above us to back it up. There is surprising biodiversity in Westmount. So Wood Council supports new initiatives. I have 2 suggestions that happily are reduced to 1 because the first one was to address Summit Woods and the potential of support for Friends of Summit Woods. John Fretz is here and I'm delighted with what I've heard today. The second one, COPCANs will set targets to offset catastrophic loss of species by increasing protected areas of wildness. But we already find the present target of 30% out of reach for Westmount. Am I being generous to say we're at 5%? But who knows? A progress I suggest is for the gardens of Westmount to become wilder. Wood Council support the creation of an online registration system similar to the excellent Urban Forest Registry. It would be up to residents to choose whether and how much of a garden is wilded, but it would give the amount of the land they wilded, knowledge of that into the system. Every little helps. So sowing wildflowers for pollinators and milkweed for monarchs, joining the mayor's pledge the David Suzuki Foundation called for is good. The goal of this, though, would be to create corridors from Summit Woods and the Mount Royal Ridge to the parks of Westmount and on to places like Falaise Saint-Jacques. For Westmount, this would be what would be called stepping stone corridors rather than continuous ones. Corridors exist already, and this explains the porcupine. We've seen through the pandemic that less human activity can have dramatic results in cities. This is not about doing nothing in the part of the garden that's wilded. The project would require information, and happily there's a lot of them. Academics as well as practical things. There's a professor at Carleton University, Leonore Furrig, has a paper from 2020, which is valuable. I call it out because it's counterintuitive in general. Why do several small patches hold more species than few large patches? That's her research. And
So the question, because we will have to get to the question, is the question, will we support biodiversity initiatives within Westmount?
A registration of initiatives from residents to turn parts of their garden or all of their garden wild.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting suggestion that we will certainly bring to the administration of how we could manage it. But I think happily, many Westmounters, and there was a long time in the city where we're a tiny city, a 2x2 kilometer. We sometimes feel so small that will our actions make a difference? And I think we've turned the page on that, and that everybody, all of the actions, whether they be small or large or what might have seemed insignificant before is significant. And so anything that we can do to help biodiversity. And so you saw that with the leaf blower issue was not so much about noise. It was about, a very high powered gas leaf blower ripping apart the nesting ability of these lawns and literally destroying the biodiversity of the lawns throughout Westmount. And so small initiatives like that, small initiatives like banning of plastic bags, where we had waited to see, we were always wondering more science on that. Are they really more environment? We will ban them. That's coming as well. I mean, Montreal has had it in place for a couple months, but all those initiatives, every time we can have an electric vehicle over a gas powered, we will need vehicles. We know that to operate our city. The Monarch pledge that we signed. And so to add more wildflowers to our parks, we will do that. Will we mow the lawn before June 1st? No, I hope not, because we shouldn't be, because we know now, we know better.
I think,
and we have to be better.
I would suggest that the question of measuring is helpful. So
yes, and
so
certainly having the data to help those decisions is imperative, but we also need to begin with some of the small measures and also the education part, right? So how do we, our children expect this of us. So how do we educate them more? You know, I mean, I look at Mr. Fretz in the audience here. How could he help kids understand the importance of Summit Woods and why, you know, we have dog walkers and dog owners that are furious when the dogs have to go on leash. Well, the birds will never nest if we don't put the dogs on leash. And then where will we be?
I joined it up with the academic stuff because it's evidence that the small stuff in a garden will make an impact.
So I think that's a great suggestion that we'll happily bring back to the administration of how we could manage it, or even, and maybe a first way to do it is to celebrate it. So to highlight those who have done it and to celebrate it and to gain traction that way. But thank you for what you have done to encourage residents with your plant exchanges and things like that, and your gardens outside the church, and the role you play in the park as well. So thank you for the question. And Councillor D'Amico?
Just from a finance point of view, I just want to say that we'd like to implement the green accounting. The green accounting will give us the data. It will also give us hard data so that we can make better environmental decisions. So we are working on that. And also to get green financial statements. So we are working on that, just Excellent. To let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Good evening. My name is Chantel O'Coin from Mount Stephen. Just like my fellow citizens have mentioned just prior to me, I'm also quite concerned with regards to identity theft. And I've also been wary in the past at how much information that Westmount requires when we sign up for services and these kind of issues. And I'll give you an example. Hydro Westmount asked for my social insurance number, which they should not be. Last time I forgot my library card and I gave my driver's license to prove who I was. They immediately inputted everything from my driver's license into their system. So my question to the city of Westmount is, will you be looking at what is considered bona fide requirement in data capturing of citizens' information to make sure, as you say, Madam Mayor, that we are very interconnected and subject to identity theft and hacks? So that is my question. Will you be re-looking at what kind of information gets stored in City of Westmount servers, if it's actually required, so that we can feel at least that we're only giving the strict minimum to do what you need to do?
Yes, absolutely. It'll be part of a very in-depth review of this entire process. I'm surprised about your Hydro Westmount comment, and I will discuss that with the administration, as that is surprising to me that you would need to get.
At the time, they told me that in case I didn't pay my bill, it was faster to track me down.
No, that is surprising to me. So we will look at that. Can you leave your phone number and your contact with the city clerk's office, and we will get in touch with you about that one? Okay. Thank you for your question. Does anyone else want to comment on it? Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Lucien Savard.
Bonjour.
Venu Clermont.
Bonsoir.
D'abord, merci. Les citoyens ont gradué. Ils ont été donnés un lutrin. C'est extraordinaire, ça. Oui. Je vais donc diriger à partir du lutrin mes questions. La première question, ça va être rapide, parce que je vais vous donner l'exemple au monsieur qui est offusqué parce que j'ai dit c'est pas un débat, c'est des questions.
Oui,
en me traitant de certains noms que je ne répéterai pas. Donc, la première question, ça va être rapide. Moi, mon souci, c'est Hydro-Westmount, parce qu'on a vécu l'histoire du pipeline américain qui était arrêté pendant plusieurs jours suite à justement une situation comme celle-là où la corporation propriétaire avait été hackée. Hydro-Westmount, je ne voudrais pas manquer d'électricité dans mes maisons demain matin.
Vous avez pas manqué?
Non, non, je ne voudrais pas.
Non, non.
OK, parfait. C'est non?
C'est non.
Première question. Deuxième. Au début de votre premier mandat, j'étais venu ici avec 2 sujets. Le premier sujet, c'était à 500 avenue Claremont. Vous vous rappellerez que M.
Pollock?
Non, pas Pollock, celui qui avait déposé une soumission de quelques centaines de noms.
Oui. Monsieur Phil Pollock.
Un nom comme ça, là.
Oui.
Il y avait eu ensuite beaucoup de gens qui l'avaient suivi au lutrin parce que chacun avait sa version des motifs pourquoi ça ne devrait pas avoir lieu. Je me suis placé en arrière et j'étais le dernier à intervenir. J'ai dit, moi, je suis pour le 105.
Je me souviens de ça.
Et puis, j'avais dit à l'époque, je pense que vous n'enregistrez pas les questions, mais peu importe, j'avais dit à l'époque, la seule chose qui me concerne, c'est que des projets comme ça, il faut mettre une échéance parce que ça peut perdurer dans le temps. Je ne sais pas si c'est possible de mettre des échéances, mais je me rends compte effectivement que ce que je ne voulais pas arrive. Ça perdure. Il se passe certaines choses. La dernière opération, ça a été contreplaqué. Je veux dire, avez-vous des échos du promoteur, M. Pollock? Qu'est-ce qui arrive avec ça?
Oui, mais ça avance maintenant, finalement, un peu. Est-ce que vous avez des nouvelles sur le dossier? Mais ça va. Je vois un peu plus d'action là-bas.
Moi, je marche beaucoup à Westmount, je passe là tous les jours. Il se passe. Il y a eu du tirage de joints, puis il y a eu des.
Il y avait des problèmes.
Des structures de pierre en haut, structure au plafond qui est installée. Mais à part de ça, il y a une belle clôture qui protège les citoyens contre le site, mais à part de ça, il ne se passe pas grand-chose. Je suis désolé de vous l'annoncer. Peut-être que vous pourriez vérifier avec M. Pollock.
Oui, on va vérifier qu'est-ce qui se passe là-bas.
Oui, c'est de le laisser abandonner, puis un jour, il va être obligé de dire je le démolis.
Non, non, non. Mais c'est une inquiétude un peu partout à Westmount avec les maisons, avec les projets comme ça. Il y a des projets sur Sainte-Catherine, la même chose, que ça prend trop de temps. Et celui-là, j'ai hâte que les gens habitent là-bas.
OK. Deuxième
point. Mais on va vérifier.
Merci.
Avec aménagement urbain.
Mon deuxième point, finalement, c'est à cette rencontre-là ou à la subséquente, j'avais proposé, compte tenu qu'on est tous fiers du témoin architectural significatif qu'est l'hôtel de ville de Westmount, j'avais proposé un projet d'accentuation de l'architecture en termes d'éclairage. À Montréal, on le vit actuellement. Avec l'avènement des lumières LED, ce n'est plus des projets qui sont consommateurs d'énergie. Les propriétaires à Westmount, il y en a beaucoup aussi qui se sont mis là-dedans. Puis il y a des firmes de plus en plus qui font ça. La mise en valeur de l'architecture, le soir, c'est tellement beau. L'hôtel de Montréal, l'hôtel de ville de Montréal vient d'être fait, justement. Moi, j'en ai fait pour des églises. Puis je me dis maintenant que ce qu'on m'avait dit à l'époque, c'est qu'il faut d'abord refaire les joints, changer les fenêtres.
Oui, on est en train de faire les fenêtres.
Etc. Donc, les fenêtres, ça a l'air avancé. Les joints, ça me semble complété. Les seuils ont été remplacés. Mais je me dis, c'est le temps d'y penser parce que l'opportunité est exceptionnelle pour là investir.
Oui, on va commencer. La prochaine étape après les fenêtres, c'est l'extérieur et tout l'aménagement dehors.
Moi, je me prête volontairement, bénévolement, un comité qui voudrait se pencher sur la question de mettre en valeur notre patrimoine architectural, dont l'édifice principal qui est la Maison du Peuple, l'Hôtel de Ville de Westmount, qui est déjà un bijou comme tel.
Oui, c'est vrai. Merci beaucoup.
Heureuse fête à vous tous et toutes.
Merci. À vous aussi. OK, les questions en ligne.
Oui, alors, Madame la mairesse, nous avons reçu 2 questions aujourd'hui. Je pense qu'on vous en a transféré 3, mais il n'y en a que 2 finalement. C'est une erreur. Première question nous vient de M. Fred Gervin. Mayor Smith, 100 Summit Circle, the home of the late Senator Leo Kober, has a very storied history. Should this property be recognized as historical?
Thank you, Mr. Gervin, for your question. I don't have all the details on the timing. I mean, there are many houses in Westmount that have important and significant and are significant architecturally, and not just the ones that were built in the early 1900s. There are some from all different eras, but I don't have all the details of the late Senator Colbert's house. I do know that it is sold for a significant price. And I'm not sure if there's concerns about what will happen to the house, but I certainly, Councillor Pierre, do you have any further details you want to add to this?
Well, when he says I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure what exactly he
historical,
means.
because if you're referring to, for instance, the certification.
Well, it's the category. I'm not even sure it has a category because of the time that it was built. I think it was built after the categorization of the Beaupré Michaud categorization.
No, it's an old house that was renovated, and I think it is a category 2. But the renovation that's being proposed, it's not a demolition; it's a renovation. It does not exceed the requirement, does not exceed the threshold at which it would become considered a demolition. So, in terms of its historical context in and of itself, it's category 2. It is not currently designated as being architecturally significant. It might have as you mentioned, Mr. Gervin, it does have a storied history, but we do not have a mechanism in place that will recharacterize that house. And the only other recent case would be a 178 Côte Saint-Antoine, which was its own special case. And that was about its architectural significance in the history of Westmount.
Yeah, in the heritage.
It's not the same thing in this regard.
So thank you for your question, Mr. Gervin.
Other question from Mr. Denis Bureau. On February 17 of this year, Conseil approved the demolition of the armory at 1 Tree Hillside, amounting to 87% of the facade with that proposal. Question 1, under the most recent proposal, will the remaining 13% of the facade be demolished? Question 2, with the major shift in the footprint of the new building, how much of the existing foundation and concrete building structure will be remained? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bureau, for your very technical questions. And I'm not sure if you heard at the beginning of the evening that there is a public consultation on this file, 1 to 3 Hillside, on the 13th of December at 7 p.m., where many of these the questions that you asked will be answered, or that's an opportune time to ask those as well. I don't have the number on the foundations. Do you have any details you want to add to that as the member of PAC or either member of PAC?
Your explanation was perfect. The best, so as we don't provide any incorrect information, you're best served by attending or at least watching the tape.
Yeah, you can watch it online.
You can watch it virtually, and they'll be able to answer that question. With respect to the 87%, it's not precisely 87%. It's probably a minimum of 87%. They could exceed the threshold as was allowed in the demolition bylaw.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, though, and hopefully you can attend on the 13th of December. Next question, or there was no third question?
No more questions.
And nobody submitted a question live?
No.
Okay, so we now move into the next part of the agenda with the adoption of the agenda, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour, Conseiller Peart. Avec beaucoup d'ajouts ce soir.
Yes, indeed. Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the agenda of the regular council sitting of December 5th, 2022 be adopted with the addition of the following item. 6.4, Mayor's Report awarding of an emergency contract, and the following items under new business. 16.1, Appointment, Director, Digital Information Technologies. 16.2, appointment, administrative coordinator, public works. 16.3, appointment, division head, citizen experience, communications. 16.4, call for public tenders, redevelopment of the library's main entrance, PUB-2022-035. 16.5, annulation, vente pour défaut de paiement des taxes municipales 2019, 2020 et 2021. 16.6, appointment interim director general.
Thank you very much for all of those. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. All in favor? Carried. I would just note for 6.4 pour 6.4, j'ai pas le rapport avec moi, donc si vous avez une autre copie, ce serait utile pour moi. Merci. What? 16.4. Est-ce que c'est... It's Councillor Roux, yeah, it's in the most recent version that's updated. Sorry, this is the effects of the cyber attack. We've moved from a different system for our council meeting. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so all in favor of the additions of the adoption of the agenda. Item number 5, confirmation of minutes. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Greffier. Encore, Councillor Peart. Item 5.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que le procès verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil tenue le 21 novembre 2022 soit approuvé.
Merci beaucoup. Un appuyeur sur ça, c'est Monsieur Chamy. All in favor? Carried. Item number 6, reports to council. 6.1, les documents suivants sont déposés. Avis public de la Ville de Montréal, Assemblée publique, cybercriminalité dans les médias sociaux et les cyber-enquêtes du SPVM. Liste de règlements adoptés à l'Assemblée ordinaire du Conseil d'agglomération du 24 novembre 2022. 6.2, minutes of the General Committee. Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le procès verbal de la rencontre du comité plénier du Conseil du 7 novembre 2022 est déposé et est disponible sur le site web de la Ville.
Merci beaucoup. 6.3, c'est M. Chamy.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le rapport de main-d'œuvre pour le mois de septembre 2022 est maintenant déposé.
Merci beaucoup. 6.4, c'est moi. Le rapport adjudication d'un contrat d'urgence. So I will read this into the record. To the Municipal Council of the City of Westmount on December 5th, 2022, considering the cyber attack of which the city is the victim, which is still in progress, considering the representations of our experts to the effect that our computer system is vulnerable, considering the importance of the attack of which we are victims, considering the importance for the city to be fully operational as soon as possible, considering the sensitive information and personal data held by the city, considering the situation and the importance of the affected equipment and the necessary enhancement, I, Christina Smith, Mayor of the City of Westmount, report to Council that I have authorized and awarded 2 contracts to 9366-6501 Quebec Inc., en guillemets, VARS Corporation, for computer system services and to purchase equipment which are attached to this report, all in accordance with the provisions of Section 573.2 of the Cities and Towns Act, QCLR C-19. Thank you very much. And this addresses a little bit, as we had discussed before, how we have hired a cybersecurity company called VARS, which is part of Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton, that has helped us reestablish all of our systems, but has also helped us understand where we needed to make significant investments going forward, living in this situation. So that is to confirm that we have made those investments. Item number 7, adoption of council's position on the items to be submitted to the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la mairesse. I move that the mayor, or in her absence, the acting mayor, be authorized to make any decisions she deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Westmount and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council meetings to be held on December 22nd of 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor Shammy. All in favor? Carried. Item number 8, 2023 schedule for regular council meetings. Again, Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the schedule of the 2023 regular council sittings be determined as follows: Monday, January 16th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, February 6th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, February 20th at 5:30 p.m., Wednesday, March 8th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, March 20th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m., Monday, April 17th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, May 1st at 7:30 p.m., Monday, May 15th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, June 5th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, June 19th at 5:30 p.m., Tuesday, July 4th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, July 17th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, August 7th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, August 21st at 5:30 p.m., Tuesday, September 5th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, September 18th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, October 2nd at 7:30 p.m., Monday, October 16th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, November 6th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, November 20th at 5:30 p.m., Monday, December 4th at 7:30 p.m., Monday, December 18th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico. It's pretty straightforward. All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, numéro 9, adoption d'une politique pour prévenir harcèlement au travail. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas I'll read the whereases. Whereas in 2002, the city of Westmount implemented a policy for the prevention and preservation of a harassment-free workplace, which has currently been updated in 2008, 2012, 2017, and again in 2018. Whereas on June 18th, 2018, the Act Respecting Labor Standards, CQLR Chapter N1.1 underwent a major review, particularly with regards to psychological and sexual harassment. Whereas as of September 2021, the Act Respecting Occupational Health and Safety, CQLR Chapter S 2.1 has been amended to include certain obligations for employers with respect to domestic and family violence. And whereas the Director of Human Resources Department recommends the adoption of a policy to adapt the content in accordance with the new provisions of the Act, I move, Madam the Mayor, that the policy on preventing harassment and in the workplace be now adopted.
Thank you very much. Councillor D'Amico would like to second that. Any further comments?
Straightforward.
No? All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, nomination président et curateur du comité de bibliothèque publique. Conseil Roux.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Whereas according to section 2.1 of bylaw 82 concerning the establishment and maintenance of free public library in the city, the Public Library Committee shall be composed of 4 persons other than members of council appointed as trustees by resolution of council from among the residents of Westmount. Whereas according to subsection 2.10 of the bylaw, the chairman of the Public Library Committee shall be appointed by resolution of council from amongst the members of committee. Whereas further to its meeting held on November 17th, 2022, the recommendation of the Public Library Committee are submitted to council approval. As such, I move that Ms. Nancy Esabeg Christie be appointed as chair of the Westmount Public Library Committee for a one-year term of office effective as of January 1st, 2023. That Ms. Nancy Rosenfeld be appointed trustee of the Westmount Public Library Committee for a 3-year term of office effective January 1st, 2023, and that Mr. Michael Keating be appointed trustee of the Westmount Public Library Committee for a 3-year term of office effective January 1st, 2023.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gallery would like to second that. Any further comments on this?
Yes, please. I'd like to start by thanking Mitch Joel, who will be our outgoing chairman. We're sad to see him go. It was exceptional to have him as a chair. We were spoiled. Et je voudrais dire qu'on a été très reconnaissant de la qualité des résidents qui ont offert leur temps pour siéger sur le comité de la bibliothèque. C'était vraiment des gens exceptionnels et c'est un témoignage de la qualité des résidents de Westmount. On est chanceux.
Sweet. And I too would like to thank Mitch Cohen, or Mitch Joel as he's known on his social media sites, and Kathleen Roger. The volunteers in this community are incredibly important, and the library is incredibly important. So when we have those that are dedicated to our public library and willing to give of their time, we are very grateful, and we are very grateful that they are going to continue on and help us with the celebrations that we have for the 125th. So.
Exactly. I'm sorry to Kathleen. I was in chairman mode from what I was reading and thinking of.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you. So all in favor? Carried. Item number 11, request for proposals, thawing of frozen services. Councillor Bostock.
I move to award to Michel Guimont, Entrepreneur Électricien Limité, the contract for the thawing of frozen services in accordance with its proposal for a maximum amount of $78,441.69, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP-2022-054, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item number 12, appel d'offres sur invitation, production des fleurs annuelles. And this is Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to award to Les Serres Riel Inc. the contract for the production of annual flowers, tender by invitation number INV-2022-028 at its bid price for a maximum amount of $102,400.41, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the tender by invitation INV 2022-028, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments?
It's our annual purchasing for next year.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Carried. Item number 13, appel d'offres public, service de marquage de la chaussée pour la ville de Westmount. Councillor Bostock.
I move to award Entreprise TRA 2011 Inc. the contract for pavement line painting services for the city of Westmount at its bid price for a maximum amount of $213,838.43, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2022-061, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico. This is for the line painting in the spring?
In the spring, yeah.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, adoption règlement 1589 visant à modifier de nouveau le règlement 1303 concernant le zonage, nombre de bâtiments principaux dans le cas de bâtiments municipaux. Monsieur le greffier.
Je signale, Madame la mairesse, que des copies du règlement ont été remises à tous les membres du Conseil et mises à la disposition du public en temps opportun. L'objet de ce règlement est d'introduire une exception à la section 5.1 du règlement concernant le zonage afin que soit autorisé plus d'un bâtiment principal par lot dans le cas des bâtiments municipaux.
Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration de la part de chaque membre du Conseil présent à la fait qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the second draft of bylaw number 1589 entitled Bylaw to Further Amend Zoning Bylaw 1303, Number of Principal Buildings in the Case of Municipal Buildings, be adopted.
Thank you. I declare that bylaw number 1589 entitled Bylaw to Further Amend. Sorry, I need a seconder on that one. A seconder is Councillor Bostock. All in favor, do you have any further comments on this? Do you have any further comments on this? All in favor? Carried. I declare the bylaw number 1589 entitled bylaw to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, number of principal buildings in the case of municipal buildings having been duly adopted. It is ordered that notices be given as required by law. Item number 15, bylaw 1489, adoption of a first draft of a resolution 1416 Dorchester. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I will dispense with the whereases because the clauses are long enough as it is. I move that the above preamble be made an integral part of this resolution, that the City of Westmount adopt pursuant to bylaw 1489 entitled bylaw concerning specific construction, alteration, or occupancy proposals for an immovable scopy of the City of Westmount, a second draft resolution to grant the application for authorization for a specific construction, alteration, or occupancy project for an immovable bearing the civic address 4216 Dorchester Boulevard on lot 4142956 of the Quebec Cadastre, hereinafter the immovable. That the second draft resolution thus adopted have the following effect on the immovable. A, grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the imposed dimension of 35 feet 0 inches for the maximum height of a building appearing in the physical and spatial specifications grid for zone R6-35-01 of the zoning plan, a building of approximately 59 foot 0 inches in height. B, grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the maximum height of 3 stories authorized for a building appearing in the physical and spatial specifications grid for zone R6-35-01 of the zoning plan, a building of 5 stories in height. Grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the maximum floor area ratio of 2 allowed in the physical and spatial specifications grid for zone R6-35-01 of the zoning plan, a floor area ratio of 2.31. D, grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the maximum site ratio of 65% permitted in the physical and spatial specifications grid for zone R6-35-01 of the zoning plan, a site ratio of 66%. E, grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the prohibition on encroachment into the space between a street and the building line set out in subdivision 5.2.3, an underground parking area in the 12 foot 0 inches space between the street and the building line. F, grant a variance to bylaw number 1303 of the City of Westmount entitled zoning bylaw by allowing, notwithstanding the 22 foot 0 inch length requirement for the maneuvering area between or in front of parking spaces required in section 5.5.3.2, a maneuvering area of 19 foot 3.5 inches to 21 feet 7.25 inch for parking spaces number 1 through 5. The whole, according to the plan submitted in accordance with the information contained in the decision-making file number 2022-1672 and subject to the following conditions. 1, finalize an agreement between the applicant and the city prior to the issuance of a building permit for the community located on the immovable, in order that such space be made available in perpetuity for public use and maintained by the current or future owners of the site at no cost to the city or the general community. That the present authorization given by the municipal council does not have the effect of exempting the applicant from having to obtain, if necessary, any other permit, certificate, authorization, or approval which could be required according to the law or the municipal bylaws for the completion of the project.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor Kez, who's the councillor for the area. Any further comments, either from Councillor Kez or Councillor Peart? This has had many.
So this is our second reading. This is subsequent to 2 public consultations, one of which happened quite some time ago and one just more recently.
4 weeks ago.
A few weeks ago here in this room. This is the second reading of the bylaw. The next step, of course, is the steps that are laid out and prescribed by the provincial regulations. I believe the next step is tomorrow. There'll be a public notice that'll be issued. This project, like all other Scopy projects, are subject to eligible for a referendum, according to the rules that are again prescribed by the provincial level. And so there's a period which will be announced in the public notice, the details of which will be announced in the public notice, and will give the dates of which any application to create a register for this project will be detailed on that list. So
for anyone who doesn't also know, it's the empty lot on Dorchester, just west of Green Avenue. It's called the Nurses Building. It's the empty lot that's there where there had been a building that burned down. It has been demolished many years ago.
So what I just described is procedural process, and to just add the context of the project itself. And the reason why it is subject to a Scopy is that it's a long abandoned site on a street that could definitely use the infill. The site is steeply sloping, which makes it a suboptimal match for our current bylaws. And as such, the building that would have been conforming would not be the kind of building that would fit into the space. And so it didn't make sense for a conforming building to go into space. The project that's being presented is more suitable in scale. It is quite similar volumetrically to the building that it not replaces, but that was once there in both height and both in depth. So it should not come as a shock to the neighborhood or to long-term residents. It fits in as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So it went through a strenuous process of a refinement over the years, and the applicant responded in kind with improvements and adjustments to the final scheme that was presented and proposed to us. So all in all, it's a good project, and we look forward to having it grace the street and fill in that long-standing hole that is in the urban landscape or streetscape of Dorchester.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 16.1 under new business, 16.1. Conseiller Chamy, nomination directeur technologie de l'information numérique.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that Monsieur Eric Moreau be appointed to the position of Director of Digital Information Technologies Department, Grade 3, effective January 16th, 2023, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources Department as stipulated in decision-making file and according to the terms provided for in working conditions and remuneration of management personnel, and that this appointment be on a permanent basis once Monsieur Moreau has completed a probationary period in accordance with Section 2 of the Working Conditions and Remuneration of Management Personnel.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this nomination will be Councillor D'Amico. And we welcome Mr. Moreau to the city of Westmount. He's got a lot of experience, and we think he's up to the task and the challenge ahead for our IT department. Our former head of IT has recently retired, so this is replacing that position. All in favor? Carried. Item 16.2, appointment administrative coordinator, Public Works, Councillor Bostock.
I move that Ms. Dominique Daou be appointed to the position of Administrative Coordinator of the Public Works Department, grade 11, effective December 6, 2022, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources Department as stipulated in decision-making file and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. Any further comments?
That
Who is already working with us?
yes, and it's great that she's proven herself and done a great job, and that this is going to be a huge help to the Public Works Department. So we're happy to have her continue on.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item 16.3, appointment division head, citizen experience communications, Councillor Aronson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too will dispense with the whereases, but I before I begin the actual motion, I just want to tell you what a pleasure it is to be able to nominate this particular person for this role. So I move that Mr. Mugisha, I'm sorry, Mugisha, I'm terrible with this. Mr. Mugisha Retitisha, yeah, be appointed to the position of Division Head, Citizen Experience of the Communications Department, effective December 6th, 2022, in accordance with the salary recommendations of the Director of Human Resources Department, as stipulated in the decision-making file and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel. And further, that this appointment be made on a permanent basis once Mr. Rutitisha has completed the probationary period in accordance with Section 2 of the Working Conditions and Remuneration of Management Personnel.
Thank you very much. A seconder will be Councillor D'Amico on this one. And I'd like to I would ask Mugisha, we don't normally get to introduce you to our promotions here, but he's here with us today. He's in the back of the room. A very well-deserved promotion, and certainly I think something that citizens would agree, as we had talked about, on a parlé des consultations publiques et comment on peut avoir des commentaires des citoyens, des rencontres comme ça. It's very important that we utilize all the tools that we can to engage with citizens, but also for them to engage with us and for us to effectively communicate with them. And Mugisha has been a very important part of that communications team, working with Sebastian Samuel for a few years now. So I want to congratulate him on his promotion tonight. So now we vote on it to see if it's actually real. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. So congratulations again. Item 16.4, Councillor Roux, call for public tenders, redevelopment of the library's main entrance.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je vais également dispenser avec les attendus que. Donc, je propose d'accorder à Construction Hestia le contrat pour le réaménagement de l'entrée principale de la bibliothèque au prix de sa soumission, soit pour une somme maximale de 277 148 $et 94 taxes incluses, le tout conformément au document contractuel de l'appel d'offres PUB-2022-035. D'imputer cette dépense conformément aux informations financières inscrites au sommaire décisionnel numéro 2022-1739.
Merci beaucoup. Un appui, c'est Monsieur Conseil D'Amico. Any further comments? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres commentaires?
Non, je pense que c'est clair.
C'est clair. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Item 16.5 says Councillor Kez, but it should be Councillor D'Amico on that one. My copy says Kez, but it should be. Is that all right, Councillor Kez?
Yeah.
There you go. So Councillor D'Amico as the Commissioner of Finance. Cancellation sale for non-payment of the 2019, 2020 and 2021 municipal taxes.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Attendu que lors de sa séance ordinaire du 19 octobre 2022, le Conseil municipal a ordonné au greffier de vendre les immeubles énumérés sur la liste dressée par l'assistant trésorier à une enchère publique prévue le 7 décembre 2022, résolution numéro 2022-10-258, attendu qu'il y a lieu d'annuler la vente pour défaut de paiement des taxes municipales 2019, 2020 et 2021. J'appuie que la vente pour défaut de paiement des taxes municipales 2019, 2020 et 2021 prévue le 7 décembre 2022, conformément à la résolution numéro 2022-10-258, soit annulée.
Merci beaucoup. Un appuyeur sur ça, Madame Conseillère Roux. Est-ce que vous avez des commentaires? Non? That's people have paid their taxes. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Final item tonight, 16.6, appointment interim director general. This is this is because Monsieur Larue is going on a very well-deserved vacation. So I hand it over to Monsieur Chamy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that Mr. David Lapointe, Director of Sports and Recreation Department, be appointed to the position of Interim Director General for the period of December 9th, 2022 to January 22nd, 2023, in accordance with the recommendation of the Director of Human Resources Department as stipulated in the decision-making file.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. This will, Monsieur Lapointe, who has done this in the past when Monsieur Larue has not been here, has taken over as the signing authority as the Director General. All in favor? Carried. That brings the agendas on the item to a conclusion. Now we'll have a second question period on a deuxième période de questions. Si vous avez des questions, c'est le moment.
Je vais être très rapide. Évidemment, on voit que comme dans les entreprises, au niveau municipal aussi, ça change le personnel. Les gens partent, des gens arrivent. Il y a moins de loyauté, évidemment, au niveau des employés. Je me demandais si ce serait approprié qu'on voit l'organigramme de l'hôtel de ville à un moment donné. Il y a des nouveaux postes, des nouvelles personnes. Est-ce que c'est disponible sur le site?
On n'a pas mis un nouveau organigramme sur le site, mais c'est quelque chose qu'on peut faire comme expérience citoyenne. Mugisha, do you hear this, the latest task for you? Non, et je comprends parce que avant, comme M. McBain, qui est avec nous ce soir, qui est notre directeur de sécurité publique, ça fait quoi, 36 ans, 32 ans, quelque chose comme ça? Mais c'est de plus en plus, on a beaucoup de changements pour les jeunes aussi. Mais je comprends que c'est une bonne idée que tout le monde, que les citoyens sachent qui fait quoi à l'hôtel de ville. Puis si on a des retraites et des choses comme ça.
Merci. C'est pas qu'on va les appeler.
Non. On ne va pas les appeler, mais le courriel en bas de le nom.
Merci.
OK. Merci beaucoup. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions en ligne?
Aucune question en ligne.
OK. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Joyeuse fête. Si on ne vous voit pas, mais le 19 décembre, on est ici avec le budget. Donc, à bientôt. Merci beaucoup.